believe in magic.
Yeah.
Montclair State basketball heading back to the NJAC championship for the 4th year in a row. A final score of 71-62. Sean, what are your closing thoughts?
Well, it's an exciting time. Like I just said at the close there, nobody in the country wants to play Karen Harvey's Montclair State Redhawks team right now. They're firing on all cylinders. They had a battle adversity today. They started down by 11. This Montclair State team has found tons of ways to be able to win games. It wasn't easy by any stretch. William Paterson gave it their all. Just didn't too many turnovers. Wasn't a Christmas performance. They still played pretty hard. But it's Montclair State going to the championship game. Thanks a large part to the veterans. Thanks a large part to these younger players. And this core of players has done it once again this season. They've won now 9 games in a row. And we'll see you on Friday night. All right, welcome back here to Upon Further Review, 2:43. As we'll take you up until 4. As always, if you want to give us a call, 973-655-4256. But for now, joining us now in studio, as you just heard last night, Montclair State, and we've been talking about, of course, on the show, Montclair State women's basketball on their way to their 4th straight NJAC conference championship game, and a big reason of why they are on their way to now the 4th straight championship game is because of junior Rachael Krauss, who had a team-high 18 points on last night's game, connected 4 times from beyond the arc. She joins us now in studio. Rachael, thanks for stopping by.
Of course. I'd love to be here.
So certainly an exciting game last night. William Paterson opened this game with an 11-0 run. You were able to snap that streak with a 3, and by the end of that quarter, you guys pull even at 16-0. Was there a sense that, I know it's so early in the game with that first shot that you were able to get in, but after that shot, was that a sense that meant a little bit more than what it usually does in the first quarter to kind of settle this team down? Because I talked about in my intro, somebody on this Montclair team was going to need to step up and really kind of take the initiative offensively. And in the first few minutes, it seemed like nobody wanted to take that charge. You were able to take that shot. It was a wide open look. It goes in. You're on the board. And from there, did you feel like that was something that could really settle down your teammates? And do you think that had a big reason why you were able to get back into the game?
Yeah, I think in the beginning of the game, there's a lot of nerves. It's one of our first playoff games without, Janitza and Melissa are used to playing with them. So I think we had a lot of nerves, and they got off to a really good run, Willie P. So for that, we were kind of like, oh, man, we need to kind of step up right now. So I think we just needed to get into, the flow of our offense a little bit and settle down. But once we did, then, we were ready to go and we were settled in. So, yeah, I think that one, as soon as we got our first basket, we knew we were going to be okay. So
Definitely.
I think it was once we settled in, we were good.
And William Paterson definitely able to out-rebound you guys, but where you were able to make up for it was by forcing turnovers, which is really when this defense is at its best. 30 points off of turnovers last night in this game, which is a big reason for the win. Defensively, would you guys say that you were able to really figure out what this William Paterson offense was doing? It seemed like you were able to kind of catch on to what they were trying to do, which was getting the ball into the post and trying to slow down Rodriguez, who was hitting from beyond the arc a few times. How did you guys progress through this game defensively?
I think defense is what definitely won us that game. Our half-court defense was one of the best it's been all season, in my opinion. Everyone on the floor, we just had great communication. We were switching everything. We just knew what we were doing defensively, and that was definitely the main factor of us winning that game. We went over their offense before the game. We knew what they were going to do, so I think that is definitely the main reason that really got us the W.
Now, you've had a great season all year long, of course. This will now be your 3rd trip to the conference finals. Just what does it mean to you to be able to have so much success, so far in your college career with this Red Hawks program? I think every player out of high school, you coming from a short conference school, wants to find somewhere where they can not only get minutes, but hopefully have some success. And not only have you found both of those this year, coming from a role player position last year to now a starting position this year for a number 1 overall seed in the conference finals for the 4th straight year. Just how does that feel, and what has it meant to you to have that success in your career?
It's really exciting. Not a lot of people can say that they've gone to the NJAC championship or any conference championship 3 years in a row, and for the team it's now been 4 years in a row. And to do it with such a great group of girls and a great coach, it's really awesome, and it's, like I said, not something that a lot of people get to do. So it's a privilege to be able to do that, especially with these girls and the coaches.
And as mentioned, a team high 18 points last year, last game, 4 for 9 from beyond the arc, and also with 18 points in this game for the 3rd time against William Paterson, scoring exactly 18, was sophomore Katie Sire. particularly 12 fourth-quarter points from Sire there. She was in foul trouble much of the third quarter, was able to come out in the fourth and really, show the big step that she's taken up this year in kind of carrying you guys and just going on a tear to start that fourth quarter and really help put this game away. How has it been for not only you, but from what you've been hearing from some of your other teammates in regards to just watching her develop and put together the great season that she's had? I feel like it doesn't come as a surprise because we knew this was coming from a player in Katie Sire who was out there with Melissa and Zanicza last year as well as yourself and had a great year behind those two. So we knew she was one player that we would highlight to have another good year once those two moved on and Sire would be a sophomore. But I don't know if anyone quite expected this. And again, those 12 fourth-quarter points coming right off the bench, being sat down for most of the third quarter was certainly an impressive feat.
Yeah, Katie's an awesome player, and she has a lot of experience from last year, and especially playing with Janet and Melissa. She's been in a lot of tough situations last year when we've been down in the NCAA tournament. So I think her experience, and she's just a really good basketball player. So
right.
When that kicks in and she knows that we need some points, she's there to do it. So, we can really count on her as well as a lot of the other girls in the team, but she really pushes through.
And so looking ahead to Friday, and speaking of one of Sire's most memorable moments of this season, it was the game-winning basket with 5 seconds left on the road at Rowan, a team that beat you guys earlier in the season at the Panzer Athletic Center, where you'll see them on Friday night in just a few short nights here. And so that game-winning basket by Sire, it's on the road. So as we get into our preview for Friday night, just what are you expecting from this Rowan team that you split with in the regular season, again, losing at home and being able to beat them in such an emotional way on the road? So it seems like both teams kind of got back at each other a little bit, and now we're even going into a 1-2 matchup that you expected in the conference playoffs.
It's going to be a battle. It's definitely going to be a back-and-forth game. Rowan is really going to come at us hard and want to beat us, especially since we beat them by 1 on their home court, and especially because we lost them on our home court. I don't think there's going to be a big lead from either team throughout the game. It's going to be a back-and-forth game, and it's going to go down to the last quarter, and it's really going to be who can tough it out, because they're a very good basketball team, and so are we. So it's definitely going to come down to the end, I think.
And does this matchup at all remind you of flashbacks of last year to the Stockton game, another team that beat you guys on your home floor, but watching that conference final game, you would have never believed it because that was the only regular season loss that you had last season. It was by just 1 point, and then you guys took care of business, blowing them out of the building in the conference championship. Obviously, a tough task to blow out this Rowan team. They've been competitive in basically every game they've played, but do you reference that game as kind of motivation to go against a team that you know already has a win here at the Panzer Athletic Center, and not to let that happen twice would be the message from, I guess, Coach Harvey and what you've heard from some of your teammates?
Right. Well, last year when we played Stockton, we came out with a mindset that we were just going to go at them as hard as possible, be mentally tough, physically tough. So I think, and we came out with the win. So carrying that to this year, I think we should come out with that same mindset and just, leave everything out on the floor. We have nothing to lose. So, we're just going to be as tough as we can and give it all we have, because that's what we did last year with Stockton, knowing that we came off of a loss with them. So same thing this year with Rowan.
As a team, you guys shot just 38.6% from the field in that first matchup against Rowan. I'm sure there's other factors that you guys will look at as to why you lost that game and things you can adjust to ultimately come out on top on Friday, which will be the most important meeting by far that these two teams will have this season. But would you say that for the most part, that first matchup, from what you can remember about it way back at the beginning of the season, was simply just a bad shooting night for you guys, or what else was Rowan able to do to pull out that win?
I think back at that game, we were a different team than we are now. I just don't think we were as good collectively and worked together collectively and communicated. So from then, we've come a long way, and I really don't want to blame it just on the shooting or turnovers or being out-rebounded or anything like that. I think it's just as a whole and as a team collectively, we just weren't as good as we are now.
And then in the second meeting, of course, I'm sure you'll remember this game because you had a season-high 22 points, and you guys were able to jump out of the gates, unlike last night's semifinals against William Paterson. In this game at Rowan, which ended up ending in the Katie Sire buzzer beater, you led 15-4 after one quarter. Rowan's able to battle back. What were you guys able to change going from the first matchup that you lost going into this game? What were the adjustments, and what are some of the things that you took away that worked against Rowan that we're going to see again on Friday night?
I think one big adjustment was our like mental toughness. We went into the game knowing they were a higher seed than we were, so people were expecting us to lose to them. So we had nothing to lose. We went out there with everything we had. And also, we did shoot better, and all those statistics were better than the first time we played them. But also, like I said before, when we played them the second time, we were a different team as well. So I think that was a big factor in it.
Now, just schematically, obviously, you lead this conference, the New Jersey Athletic Conference, in three-point field goal percentage. It's been a big step up for you this season. Do you feel that you kind of fit better into the way this offense has been built this season? The offense, of course, struggled for the mid parts of the season, but once they kind of figured out what they were as a team and picked up the tempo of it, last year with Melissa on the floor, yes, it was an offense that was able to get out in fast break opportunities, but for the most part, it was a half-court offense that you guys were able to execute with her in the paint, Nitz on the outside, and a lot of other factors. This year, a lot more guard-oriented, fast-paced, a lot more opportunities for you to get some open looks. Do you feel that this is the best offense that you could fit into, and this is a good fit schematically for you to play in, not only for the rest of this season, but going into next year, that you've really found a good fit?
Yeah, definitely. We have a variety of offenses, whether the other team is playing in man or zone. So for the most part, all of our offenses work, and we all like them, and we can adjust to their defense. So I have a good feeling in our offense and for next year as well. So I think all 5 players on the floor have the opportunity to touch the ball and get their points and stuff like that. So I think that our offense is really doing well.
Definitely. Now, what was Coach Harvey's message to this team, after last night? Such a quick turnaround going into Friday night, which is going to be a conference championship against a very talented Rowan team that we talked about. Was the focus solely on this win? Because this is a win that you certainly have to take at least some time to sit back and enjoy, because you did start out down 11-0 and were able to storm all the way back. So there has to be a sense of giving yourself some time to enjoy this win, but at the same time knowing who's coming in here Friday night, a Rowan team that already beat you on this floor, a Rowan team that's very talented and has a lot of veteran leadership. Those 2 graduate student players are, as good as it gets. So what was her message ultimately last night?
Last night, Coach Harvey told us to enjoy the win, and we have until 4 o'clock today, until we step on the floor, to practice for Rowan, to enjoy the win. So, she understands, and our team understands that last night was a great win for us. So last night we really enjoyed it. We let it soak in, and even today we're enjoying it. But when we step back on the floor today at 4 o'clock for practice, our mindset is on Rowan and what we have to do to beat Rowan.
So speaking of that, what are some things that, you mentioned some of the statistics, what are some things that you think, based on what you did last night, not even against the 2 games against Rowan, just in last night's William Paterson game, some areas that you think you can improve on that will also help you against Rowan? Obviously, I think the rebounding margin is one of them, some turnovers as well, but, going into practice here later today at the Pandra Athletic Center, what are some things that you expect to be focusing on based on what you did last night and based on things that need to improve for Friday night?
Definitely rebounding is probably the number 1 factor. We were out-rebounded last night by, I think, 11 maybe, or 12.
Sounds about.
Something like that. Right. So rebounding is going to be a huge factor for us to work on. And also just taking care of the ball. We had over 20 turnovers last night, and that's not really something that we're looking to do. We usually look to aim for about 13 or 14 a game. So to have over 20 is something that we need to work on, and taking care of the ball in practice. And, that's just going to come with practice.
And how do you ensure that, you guys get off to a quicker start, hopefully, in this game? Obviously down 11-0 last night. You got off to a big start in the second game against Rowan, and it was them that had to do the catching up, which is a favorable position to play in. If you're Coach Harvey and this Red Hawks team, of course, you're able to put that full court press on and, go from there with your defense. How do you ensure that going up against a veteran team in Rowan that's going to be ready for the moment? And you guys, last year, of course, were the veteran group. This year, a much younger unit. Without Kayla being out there, you're the lone senior regardless. And I know she's still with you guys on the bench, of course, and you have Melissa Toby on the staff as well, and I'm sure they've helped in that regard. But as far as the 5 on the 4 who are going to start this game, you being one of them, how do you ensure that, it might even be as simple as you being able to make an early 3-pointer again to spark it like it was last night? How do you ensure that you get off to a quicker start than you did last night and kind of play your style of game against Rowan and force them to adjust to what you guys are doing?
I think letting us set up in our offense and getting into the flow of the game is what's going to help us, because sometimes, in the beginning of a game you can rush a shot or you force your offense and take quick shots. So I think that, setting up the offense and getting into it is going to be something that's going to help us get some quick early points, and also playing solid defense. If we can get them to turn the ball over or anything like that, anything that can lead us to some quick points.
Definitely. Montclair State, Rowan should be a very good matchup here on Friday night at the Pandora Athletic Center. If you can't make it to the game, unfortunately, you can listen to it right here on WMSC, so you want to tune in for that. Our two seniors who I was with, Craig Gorbanoff last night, who I was on the call with, and then Brian Gowswood, who you heard from in studio. They'll both be at the Pandora Athletic Center. I know I'll be there. We'll be rooting for you. Rachael Krauss, Jr., with this Red Hawks team. Team high 18 points last night, and it's the fourth straight year that the Montclair State Red Hawks are going to the conference championship game. Thanks in large part to Rachael Krauss here, and thanks in large part to a lot of other players. It's been a very fun team to watch, and Rachel, we thank you for stopping by.
Thank you very much.